For decades, the Namibia Red Cross Society, in its national capacity, continues to prevent and alleviate human suffering wherever it may be found. Now, its purpose is to protect life and health and to ensure respect for the human being while providing humanitarian services. This morning, we focus on the activities of the Erongo Regional Red Cross Society office throughout the year, and we seek to understand how they complement the national strategic alignment. Christopher Barwa, Regional Officer, joins us to tell us more. Good morning, Christopher. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Lorica. Thank you so much for having me.
Let me just get this straight. It's the Namibia Red Cross Society Erongo Regional Division.
Correct.
Wonderful.
Office.
Office.
Yes.
Wonderful. Let's take a look back at the year 2022. What were your milestones?
I think one of the things I'm most proud of about our work in the Erongo region in this year is that we're able to maintain our presence at community level, at grassroots level, supporting communities in various aspects, livelihoods, food security issues. We were able to basically keep volunteers on the ground and maintain that Red Cross presence in community level. Of course, we were also able to provide what we call social assistance, which is basically our support to vulnerable people affected by any small disaster by way of either providing them relief items or small grants for them, usually within the first 72 hours of the incident. So I think that's one of those are the few things that I'm most proud of this year. We really were able to support communities in those aspects.
Well, we started off the year 2022 very much in the thick of the COVID-19 pandemic, Christopher. How did the pandemic at all affect the activities of the Namibia Red Cross?
I think one of the most significant ways the pandemic affected us was in accessing local funding. We know that when we started the beginning of the year, much of the companies that would be able to provide support to us in terms of funding and other means were still recovering from the economic impact of the pandemic.
Yes.
So it became a challenge for myself and the board to do resource mobilization from a regional level. When you reach out to companies, they would tell you, we're not able to open our pockets to assist in this time because of the pandemic. And we understood. But I think in terms of our programs and our interventions and our support to communities on a ground level, we weren't deterred. I think our activities continued undeterred. The ones that we had funding for, that we were able to get funding for, continued. I mean, we are a humanitarian organization that exists because of suffering. So wherever there's suffering, wherever there's need for us to provide humanitarian assistance, we stopped. So the COVID pandemic allowed us also to support the Ministry of Health in the COVID response from the onset of the pandemic in 2020. Yes. It started in 2019, but our response started in 2020. And since then, we've been actively supporting the Ministry of Health from risk communication when the pandemic first started up until now, where we're focusing more on the vaccination.
Yes.
So those activities were undeterred. But I think the most significant impact, to answer your question, has been accessing local funding.
Yeah. Every region in the country, of course, has its unique set of challenges, Christopher. What is unique to the Erongo region in terms of challenges and needs?
I think what I've experienced for the region this year is that there's a perception out there that the coastal region or the Erongo region is the coast, and when we think of Erongo region, we think Swakopmund and we think holiday vibes, and it's all good. But what I've witnessed on the ground is that we are facing significant food insecurity issues.
Yes.
Of course, there's also the problem of the fires, constant shack fires that happen that leave families, households with nothing most of the time, of which we've been able to support. Some of them we've been able to support, like I said in the beginning, our social assistance grants, relief items that we've been able to provide for them. And also in terms of the food security issues, we've also been able to support in some some of those areas. We've provided, food distributions. When we have walk-ins in the office, we see what we can provide them. And also, because we've established partnerships with other community-based organizations, we were able, if we're not able to assist them there, then and there, whatever their need may be, we're able to refer them to another stakeholder that might be able to assist them, and then also follow up if indeed they were assisted. So I think there are a lot of issues that affect us. I mean, there's, like I said, food insecurity, links to the drought situation in our rural areas. The Daurus constituency also facing the water shortages that they have there. So we've been able to support in some aspects, I think, highlighting more the food issue.
Well, it's incredible, I mean, that the organization has been able to remain so relevant, as the world has been transitioning, and I must commend you on that, Christopher. Let's take a look at next year, 2023, at our doorstep. What kind of activities does the Red Cross have lined up?
So I think next year, we want to focus more on building our partnerships, strengthening the partnerships that we've established this year, and establishing new partnerships with stakeholders. I'm talking about community-based organizations, the local regional governments, line ministries, and the business community, of course, because we need their support. So it's the focus will be on that, establishing those partnerships, because we can't work in isolation. If we want to reach communities out there, and we do want to, but we need support. We need support, and I'm not talking only in terms of funding, in terms of in-kind assistance, in terms of being able to reach communities, in terms of being able to refer to other different services. So I think we really will be focusing, the board and I will really be focusing on establishing and strengthening those partnerships. And then also next year, I must mention, is an election year for the National Society. In terms of our governance structure, where we'll be electing the new, board members at national and regional level. And of course, with that, the board wants to establish the youth governance structure in the Erongo region. We currently only have the regional board, which consists of adult members who are supporting in governance, but the youth structure really is a part that we need to establish and we need to strengthen, so that we have young people in the Erongo region take part in our activities and be able to take lead in addressing youth concerns.
I actually wanted to speak to you about that, Christopher. The Namibia Red Cross Society has always had a very strong volunteer base, a component for the organization. How do you strive to insensitize young people to join this organization?
See, getting volunteers, I think, is not a challenge. The challenge is retaining them. I think when people hear Red Cross and they hear about the work that we do, a lot of them, especially young people, are keen to come and be a part. But the challenge then comes when we sort of misunderstand, for lack of a better word, the term volunteerism. And what I want to go into next year, in terms of volunteerism, is to have people understand the fundamentals of volunteerism, the ethos of the Red Cross movement when it comes to volunteerism, because people tend to come and be a part, and then when they realize, oh, there's not really much to gain if I'm a volunteer, which shouldn't be the case, in fact. But when they come to that realization, then they tend to fall aside. Which is fine, because I mean, we're still able to continue with the others that do stay. But drawing volunteers, not so much a problem. I think keeping them. Retaining them, yes, because usually they want to be incentivized and so on, and they are, in certain aspects. Volunteers on longer term projects are given an allowance and so on. But really we want to shift back to the fundamental principles of volunteerism. I think that's really where...
Remind us again, Christopher, what does the Red Cross stand for?
So the Red Cross, it's established by an act of parliament, right? The Namibian Red Cross, I'll speak for the Namibian Red Cross, is established by an act of parliament. This is Act 16 of 1991. which basically recognizes the organization as a voluntary aid organization that is auxiliary to public authorities in the humanitarian field. So we exist basically to alleviate human suffering, to support the Namibian government in the humanitarian field, where there are humanitarian concerns, where there are humanitarian issues. We're able to support them in addressing those issues. So we stand for alleviating human suffering. It is in the act, it is in our core mandate, it is what we do, it's what we stand for. We stand for where there is a need with the most vulnerable people, we then are there to respond and to cater for those needs.
And those are beautiful values, Christopher, beautiful values. In conclusion, what would you like Namibians in particular to know about the Red Cross? We will be scrolling your contact details. Should there be any interested public members that would love to join the organization? But what would be your final remarks, looking back into to the past year and then looking forward as well?
I think looking back into the past year, as you've mentioned now, what I'd like to encourage fellow Namibians there, and most especially people here in the Erongo region, is that to really be part of what we are doing, is to really try and reach out and to find out, understand the work of the Namibian Red Cross and how we can be involved. Each and everybody has a place at the Namibian Red Cross. To quote one of my former SGs, she spoke in an interview once and said she would like to see a Red Cross that is for the people, that has people working for the people. Yes. And that for me is amazing, because really the National Society exists to support people, by people, by volunteers. So it's really just encouraging people out there. Really, you're able to volunteer and come be part of our activities in whatever capacity, be it professional volunteers, be it general volunteers, be it day-to-day activities. Everybody has a place at Namibia Red Cross.
Thank you very much, Christopher. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Christopher Barwa, the Regional Officer for the Namibia Red Cross's Erongo Regional Division, speaking to us on their activities and their prospects for next year.